But Andre Iguodala dropped one hell of a quote on the Dan Levitard show with Stu Gatz. Iggy says, if Rasheed Wallace played in our league today, he'd be better than Giannis, and I love Giannis. Look, I love Rasheed Wallace, but he's not better than Giannis. He's not better than Giannis back in the day. He will never be better than Giannis today. There's just Giannis is a once in a lifetime player. You're not going to see Giannis again. Like he's once in a lifetime. Any foreign player, any player that's 6'11" that can dribble the ball, you can compare to Giannis. They're not. They're never going to be Giannis. There will never be another Giannis Antetokounmpo in the NBA. But probably they'll never be another Rasheed, but Rasheed Wallace is not better than Giannis. So do you agree with Andre Iguodala and what he said about Rasheed Wallace?
Couple things. I've talked about this probably 5 times this week, so get ready.
Okay.
This quote is being so aggregated and they're not giving you the full quote. ESPN chose what they wanted to put out.
Okay.
I watched that whole interview with Andre Iguodala. I think what he said was not off base. I believe Rasheed Wallace, if he was playing in the modern NBA, would be a top 5 player in the NBA right now. I think it would be better than Anthony Davis right now. I think people forget before Detroit, Portland, he was the guy in Portland. During the Western Conference Finals, he was going at Shaquille O'Neal and Kobe Bryant. Now, most Pistons fans probably didn't see that because there's a lot of younger generation that, are Cade Cunningham fans. Like,
that's true.
I was probably only 8 or 9 when Rasheed was in Portland with Scottie Pippen during those days. But, I think people forget Rasheed Wallace was a dog. If he played in the modern NBA, there's no doubt in my mind he would be one of the best power forwards right now.
Oh, man, I remember those Portland days. I used to hate Bonzi Wells when he played Detroit. I have no idea why I hated Bonzi Wells when he played Detroit, but I did.
Player.
Dude, I love – I think he was actually originally drafted by Detroit and then traded away. I don't think he ever – maybe I could be misremembering that. But anyways, I was still too young at that draft. I disagree with you on Rasheed Wallace about being a top 5 player in today's NBA. And talent-wise, yes, 100%. He had all the talent in the world. Like, even if you go back to when he played, there's a universe where he is the number one guy. He had talent to be better than Tim Duncan. He had talent to be better than Kevin Garnett. He had talent to be better than Dirk. Those are probably the three best power forwards from his era. I think most would agree with me. He had the talent to be better than those guys. The thing that always throws me off about Rasheed Wallace is, and I still get goosebumps about the trade, by the way, like when he was traded to Detroit, that's one of those moments in Detroit Pistons history. Even at 31 years old now, even though it's been years since they won that championship, I still don't believe that trade actually happened because that was, at that time, it was just so unreal. I'm like, dude, they finally got the guy. Like, they finally got Rasheed Wallace. It's amazing. Like, he's going to put them over the top. But Rasheed Wallace left a lot of meat on the bones in his career. I don't think his mindset is going to change in the modern NBA. If you're just talking about, like, I look at it this way. If you have like a grab claw machine in front of you and you have all of the players in the history of the NBA and you can just use the little machine, you got your lever, you pick the guy up and you just put him in the modern NBA. You don't change anything else about him. Their careers would probably be similar. Like, I don't think just because Rasheed Wallace is playing in the modern NBA, he's just going to be this amazing player because he didn't have it in his head to be the great player. He didn't want to be that. Like, because if he did want to be that, he would have been that. He had the talent for sure. He wanted to be a guy that, I'm okay with kind of being the guy, but I want to be more of a support star. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to be the man. I want to be a part of a team that wins. Like, that's what Rasheed Wallace wanted. Like, he's a very selfless player in that regard. You look back at his career in Detroit, he only averaged like 15 points a game. When he could have averaged 20. The Pistons needed a 20-point scorer, or they could have used a 20-point scorer, but they were so good collectively, they didn't need that from him. So he just did everything else. And that's the type of player Rasheed Wallace was. I just don't think it matters what era you put him in. He's always going to be that guy that leaves you wanting more. He can help you win, and it's great, but you're going to look back on his career and just be like, you know what? He could have done more. He could have been a 20-11 guy. He could have been a multiple-time All-Star. He could have been the franchise savior. He could have been all of that, but Rasheed Wallace wasn't. I don't see that changing in the modern NBA.
I do, man. I mean, I don't think he's better than Giannis. I'm not going that far with Andre Iguodala. But I will say, guys like Kevin Garnett, like you mentioned, you know whose toughest guy was to cover? Rasheed Wallace. Same with Tim Duncan. Same with Dirk Nowitzki. Rasheed Wallace, no doubt in my mind, he'd be top five. He'd be a top five power forward in the NBA right now. I think he'd average 25 in the modern NBA. Because if you look at his game is perfect for the modern NBA. He could stretch the floor,
It is.
love shooting that three, had a post up game, could defend when he wanted to. I think it's all a will thing. And I think us kind of saying, well, he wouldn't be that because he wasn't that in Detroit. I think it's all situational. If he was on a team that he wanted to be there, I think he could be a number one option. I think he could score 25 points in today's NBA with the amount of fouls they call and the hand checking. I mean, you can't even touch a player in the post. I mean, look at Joel Embiid. You don't think Rasheed Wallace would get those same calls, especially complaining at the refs?
I don't know. You know, that's the thing. Like, he's just one of those guys that left you wanting more. And I don't think that would change in the modern NBA.